Good afternoon everybody. Welcome to a very windy Amakhala Game Reserve down in the Eastern Cape. We have started our afternoon with a lovely big herd of black wildebeest standing right in the middle of the windiest crest up in the northern section. My name is Tess. I'll be taking you out on a safari for the afternoon. Behind the camera is Morgan, and we had a very eventful day. We were out until about 1:30 this afternoon. We've been looking for black wildebeest the whole day and could not find them, and finally we have found them again. We haven't seen a big herd like this in days, so it is quite a relief for us to start our afternoon like this. They're one of my favorite animals, and it's lovely to be able to share them with you. Thanks for hopping on the back of the vehicle with me and the rest of the crew.
So of course you are still watching these elephants, and they're actually beginning to sort of splish and splash a little bit, and you can see they're having quite a bit of a good time over here. It's very nice to watch this. And you look at that youngster, often when they go into that clay mud, they sort of get stuck almost like it's quicksand, but it isn't quicksand. But they are not as powerful as the adults. Every now and then we do see the mother or one of the individuals in the family group actually push it along and get it out and get it going again. I've always wondered, with certain animals, baby individuals got a specific name. For example, if we look at or we talk about a porcupine, a young porcupine would be a porcupet, or a young hare would be called a leveret. I've always wondered why they never did such a thing for an elephant. The classification would be around about more or less when it goes independent of the adult. So whether it be a bull or a cow, I think from about 5 years, I would say anything from 5 years and up, 4 years and up. And you don't call it a calf anymore. We'll rather make it a sub-adult or a teenager. It does take them a long time to actually become independent of the adults, because you can imagine for such an animal like an elephant, they need to learn a lot of things, and the development process for that with elephants is very slow. And you also got to bear in mind that the adult elephants are very meticulous. They're very detailed in the information that they give them.
Blacks and lapwings. You've got a pair of them walking in the road now, and you can see how wet it is. The road is actually very saturated. The water's flowing in many places, and when the groundwater gets as saturated as it does, earthworms have a very hard time. They do need to breathe, and if the water's too wet, they will come onto the surface. And so we've actually seen them eating a couple earthworms. Maybe there'll be a few more. A lot of other insects. There we go. Quickly, no stress. Now, if you've ever had a swimming pool and in a garden and it rains heavily, I know in Johannesburg we often used to find lots and lots of earthworms in our swimming pool after the rain, purely because they need to come up to the surface to breathe, and if the rain is incessant or they move with the flow, they'll end up in the lowest lying area, and obviously they become nice fish food as well. Many a fisherman knows the earthworm is the best way to catch a fish, and what do we talk about? The early bird gets the worm.
We have managed to find the cheetahs indeed. We're struggling a bit with the wind, but the cheetahs look like they're not bothered at all. They found a nice little patch in the shade. You can see the grass is going wild around them, but we can barely see them. They're so flat in the grass, so they must be in a very blissful state. Very rounded bellies from eating far too much food, and just chilling, hanging out. The three boys under one little patch of shade. So it's not the easiest view of them at the moment, but I'm sure they're going to move just now. I do want to show you a very different living creature in this area, because we've got such a gorgeous view of it at the moment. Some blue bottle flies, or bot flies as they're known, and they're on the carcass. So if you are a sensitive viewer, Please be aware, we are going to show you the carcass purely because as well it has been buried, which is quite interesting. And this is a behavior that I'd love to see happening in person, but the flies in particular are really what's catching my attention as an entomologist, and particularly as someone who studied forensic entomology. These flies will appear within half an hour of something dying. They're bright blue metallic flies, and they are responsible for a lot of the decomposition we see in nature. I definitely think this cheetah's hungry, but I don't think he knows what he's getting himself into right now. He's at the stomach. We've had to move and change perspective to just put a bit of distance between us. Oh, careful boy. At this rate, if he just touches that stomach, it's going to explode in his face. There are many choices to make here for this cheetah. He is busy uncovering up, but does he cause an explosion? Does he starve? Does he hope for the best and try both? Morgan's voting for explosion. I'm voting for the fact that he doesn't actually need more food. Look at the size of his belly. He's just being greedy. I'm not going to lie, it would be cool to see the explosion happen, especially now that the cheetah's almost facing it, because if it explodes on its own, we're going to have a green cheetah. It'll blend in super well. The camouflage is going to be next level. Next level.
We are also looking at these really dramatic clouds, and it is awesome, isn't it? So these are in fact cumulonimbus clouds, and there is a build-up. There is a build-up there, but not to say it's going to rain. I mean, the weather forecast says no, but nature will always do what nature wants to do. So who knows? I always like to say nature will be nature for eternity. And what we are seeing now, and it's a real thing, if we look at the devastation of the ocean, devastation of forests and things like that, nature will continue. Way long after we are long and gone, nature will continue. She's very powerful. Nature doesn't just die. That's what I really love about nature.